20 seconds.
I had a CG problem, and I think I've got it corrected. You had a couple of pieces of lead up here to the front of the nose here to get the CG
Oh, it was
right.
tail
So.
heavy?
Huh?
It was tail heavy?
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't had it out since I did it, but I got this towards the end of last year. So. That's
One of the things you can see too is that printed graphics on the airplanes now have become real popular with a lot of the companies. So that you don't have to paint work or anything else, and they do some pretty intricate designs.
Yeah.
Can I ask, do those things, will they take monocode on them or not? Can you iron on these things or not?
No.
I don't know.
No.
You can get low temperature films for some of the foams. I don't believe EPP can stand up to it.
A lot of white glue.
No, monocoat won't stick. It'll get too hot and melt the
Okay.
foam.
Yeah,
That's why I asked.
there are low temperature films that will iron onto the foam, some foams, but EPP is typically pretty,
Pre-painted.
Yeah, it's,
well, either pre-painted, years more common prior to this was actually using colored packing tape. And that can be laid down, and that will heat shrink also. And you can apply enough heat to shrink that without damaging the foam. So there are options.
Roller paint too, I thought I saw someone do.
Yeah, the EPP foam stands up to quite a few products. It's not nearly as solvent sensitive as some of the other types of foam out there.
Okay.
Another 3D flyer.
Yes, EPP foam. This is a homemade job. I brought had a tin plate, and I got it when I was down there in Florida last year. Put together with foam safe, CA glue, and then there's the welders too.
Yep.
It comes in a tube. There are some stuff that will melt it.
There are some products out there.
there's actually, I found some discussions on RC groups where, and a couple other websites that I found where they have the patterns for free out there.
Yeah.
You know, just find the plane, even the, even your, what is that, F822?
There's,
Plans out there for those. I mean, I've saved about 20 or 30. I figure one of these days I'll do that, you know.
Yeah, we should post those on the website.
Yeah, I can do that, yeah.
But then the
Buzz, how
motor
did you,
and,
how did you
turbos
paint
and-
that? What'd you paint it with?
Huh?
What did you paint that with?
This is a Walmart Krylon special project paint. It's
Oh,
called.
okay.
And it doesn't
Turned out
hurt.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the hinge on the wing is just that welder. You just put it on a flat table, you get it together, you just run a bead on it and just
Yep.
put your finger across it. The tail and the hinge, or the rudder and the elevator. Then I got carbon fiber, 3mm carbon fiber too, on the tail, or on the elevator and the wing.
Have you noticed that one twisting at all? You have any?
A little bit, yeah, but not much. You could probably run some more carbon fiber on the body.
Mhm.
Or do stabilizers like I got and like you got on your plane?
Yeah.
Stabilizer bars.
Cool. All right, who's next?
yeah.
And there's a good flyer, a lot of fun. This is a multiplex fun cub, and it's a really docile plane. It's like a glider. It could be a fighter. You could do about anything you want with it.
Combat.
I almost got like a 400 motor in there, and you could fly with a 1500 milliamp motor battery and a 1300 milliamp battery. You get about 5 to 8 minutes of flying time, depending on how much throttle you're putting on it all the time.
Is that a Bombay you have under there, Rich?
What?
A Bombay?
No, that's the air.
Oh, okay. I
Air
thought you were gonna use
passenger-
it for this year's 8 drop.
Yeah, you gotta have enough
That'd be
air
cool.
passing through, because you got your speed controller right here and your motor, so you want to cool everything. You don't want it stopping up inside and heating up. And it's got flaps. When on the flaps, it almost balloons on you all the time. But you could just play around with it. You could do about anything. You got a lot of time with it. You don't have to worry about, it's gonna get too close. You get close to the ground, you just pop it right up. Real easy, nice fun flyer. So I bought it at last year's air show. And I was really pleased with it, and I think Bill Arness has got one, he flies it on the lake, he got pontoons with it. So I think it costs like $130, and with the motor and that, it was another $100-some, and the speed controller and the servos. So anybody thinking about it, it's a nice one.
Did those wheels come with it?
That was good.
The what?
The wheels, did they come with it, or did
Yeah,
you?
that's why they call it a fun tub. It's a
Okay,
goofy-
those are awesome.
And it's,
That's perfect for our field.
I'm buying one.
We should have combat with those things.
But that's a great example of the molded foams that are similar to the old styrofoam, the old white packing styrofoam you used to see, but it's a modified chemistry, so it's a much more flexible, much more durable foam than the old basic white styrofoam used to be. Same thing with the Radian. I've already dropped names here. I've already forgotten the name again. Bill, okay. No. Close, somewhere close anyway. All right. Anyway, the Radian is also another example of the same type of foam, molded, and what they can do with that. Build up a nice solid structure, keeping the weight pretty reasonable for its size, and allowing for a very, well, actually inexpensive airplane to manufacture, although they charge pretty good dollars for some of these things. Anyway, and some of the other types of foams that are available, if you want to build your own airplanes especially, fanfold foam is something you'll see a lot of on the internet groups. This is a leftover chunk of one of the fanfold foams, and this is basically about a 6mm thick foam that comes in sheets that are fan folded, accordion folded. It's actually used for a foundation insulation on homes, but it's a nice, fairly dense foam, fairly rigid, has a very, very thin plastic layer on both sides, which will protect the foam somewhat from paints and various finishes. Will also adds a fair amount of strength to the foam. But it can be peeled off for use of adhesives in certain areas or whatever, depending upon what your goal is with the airplane. This little attempt at a 3D type airplane is all from blue foam. You can see all the advertising writing on the bottom there that didn't quite wipe off. Various chemicals will take that off, but I didn't have the right ones, so they didn't get wiped off yet. Anyway, you can experiment with them. You can do whatever kind of project you want. There's lots of choices out there. The little AT6 back here, the little L16 Champ are both also out of the blue foam. It can be painted with, now both of these have been painted with the Model Masters spray cans. It works quite well on the foam. Another option is either the white Depron foams or the other variations similar to it. Midwest Product sells their, what do they call theirs? Hobby foam, is that what it is? Something like that. But a lot of the hobby shops, craft stores and stuff sell the packages of Midwest foam. It's a white foam similar to Depron, pretty rigid foam, comes in various thicknesses. Depron is available from a lot of the hobby suppliers, a lot of suppliers online. Some of the hobby shops carry some of it. And another option is the foam board that you can get in a lot of the stores, which actually has a little poster board coat on both sides. This can be used to draw your patterns and stuff on. As is, it's kind of heavy. It gets a lot of strength, but it gets pretty heavy too. But you wet it, and this paper will peel right off, leaving you with a similar, slightly more flexible, but similar foam to the white Depron type foam. Again, variations are great out there. As far as plans that you were mentioning online, the little Infineon biplane here is intended for 3D. This actually is plans from RC groups that you can download for free. They're actually intended for the EPP style foam with a little bit more reinforcement. So this I just changed over to the craft foam, and then went with just two basic carbon spars embedded in the embedded in the wing, both top and bottom wing. And that, with this more rigid foam, makes it very, very stiff. No flex, it's a real solid airplane. And it's a pretty good flyer too, a lot better than I am.
When can you get the blue core? Because I know there was like a shortage at one point.
The blue foam, the fan fold type foam, is hard to find around here anymore. The only store that carried it around here for a long time was Lowe's. And I understand that it's pretty hard to even track down there now.
Yeah, because I called them up and I asked them if there was some sort of patent infringement, that's why it would extinct.
I hadn't ever heard that, but a lot of things happen like that. I've still got a pretty good supply of it.
You can find a lot of that stuff online too.
Yeah.
I don't know about fan fold foam in particular, but.
Yeah, the fan fold, the problem that some people don't like with it is that as a result of its manufacturing process, and it's a little hard to see on this piece here, but it has ridges. The foam is kind of wavy. If you put it in the right orientation and set it up right, you can see those waves kind of run down the wings on the Champ there. You can kind of take advantage of it, but you can't get a real flat surface out of it. The white foams, you can get a nice flat surface out of. The little monocoop here is all from the white craft foam. The F-22 and then the little sailplane here are all from the white foams. Again, for experimenting, for coming up with your own ideas, designs, you know, perfect medium to work with. It's cheap. You know, what are they, 2 foot by, what are they, 2 foot by 3 foot?
Which one?
The blue foam?
2 by 4.
2 by 4, I guess they are 2 by 4. Okay, so a 2 foot by 4 foot sheet of that basically ends up costing about $1. And, you know, typically an airplane like that's gonna take 1 sheet, with scraps left over. You get into the Depron foams, you're getting up in the, you know, 8 to 10, maybe $15 for the foam into an airplane like the Infineon there. But there's a lot of varieties there.
What's the preferred method for cutting it?
You can utilize any of your normal cutting tools as far as a X-Acto blade. You know, X-Acto knives work just fine. You can also hot wire most of your foams. Bear in mind, of course, hot wiring foams releases fumes from the foams, and I don't care what kind of foam it is, the fumes are all not good for you. So ventilate well and keep some fresh airflow through there. But they do hot wire well. Even the fan fold hot wires pretty well. I have a little hot wire table that I can use for smaller parts, and it's just a vertical wire that you can then run through, kind of like you're using a scroll saw or bandsaw. It does a pretty good job for that, but 99% of what I cut out is done with an X-Acto blade. But again, very easy to work with. You can also, you know, you can curve the foams, you can heat them up and shape them. You know, it's a little hard to see the little turtleneck here, but it's just heated up and folded over. You know, the wings have an under camber, and then they were heated up to get some curvature in them that is held. There's no ribs in it or anything. It's just simply a flat sheet that was bent with a little bit of heat. No reinforcements in this other than these little bamboo skewers that you buy at the grocery store. Use those as struts, and that's the only reinforcement necessary to keep the wings strong enough. Same thing with the little Champ there. Because it's a strut braced wing in real life, it works out quite well as a modeling subject. Little bigger end here, obviously we've got Rob's Cularis sailplane, which is again another all molded. Again, what do they call their foam? There's lots of different names for them. Yeah, Elapor. That's their version, which is similar to the foams that they use in the under the contours of your dashboard in most of the cars now for impact safety. It's a fairly resilient foam. It will bounce back to some degree, and it will take a fair amount of flexing before it breaks. Now somebody else brought in the little butterfly flyer here. Okay.
That was the pink fan fold.
That's more available at most of your home improvement stores, right?
Yeah, got it from Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot.
Yeah,
They're like a, it's a sheet about, 8 feet long and folded down to 3x4s or something like that. And again, it's real cheap. It's a little thicker than the blue. Doesn't have the plastic on the sides.
right.
But it paints real easy. My granddaughter wanted to paint one of my airplanes, so
Okay.
I went on the computer and had her pick out what pattern she wanted. I think it came off from Fun Foam website. And so I downloaded the pattern, took it to Kinko's, had them printed at full size, and then just cut it out with a hot wire. It's a pretty nice project, painted with just our paints, what do they call that, the water-based paint.
Water-based,
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Now the-
And, it flies pretty much vertical. You can get up enough speed to fly horizontal with it, so. Flies like butterflies.
Okay. The pink foams like that are a lot softer than the blue foam. So you just have to build them a little bit differently as far as reinforcing and the type of structures that you do with them, but they, again, you have all the same possibilities there. Plans, we're talking about plans on the internet, RC groups, RC Universe, and any number of supplier websites have a lot of free plans available for download of whatever kind of project you might want. Because the foam can be used as, in the same kind of structure as your balsa wood in most of your airplanes. There's a lot of planes out there you'll see now where they're cutting out the ribs and they're using foam for the ribs and the spars and making complete structures and covering over them, sheeting over them with a thinner foam, same as you would do with balsa wood in some of the other more traditional structures. I suspect that that wing probably has a nice foam core underneath all that balsa wood there too. So it's used in a lot of different applications. Well, that's just kind of a taste of some of the ones that are out there. There's a whole lot more. And, the thin foams, of course, are leading to all these new micro indoor flyers that you're starting to see more and more of released. Horizon Hobbies has a tremendous series of their ultra micro series airplanes, and then a lot of their park flyers now too are all molded foam, making them very inexpensive to manufacture up front and easy for the hobby shops to now stock replacement parts, so you can buy your T-28 or your Spitfire or whatever flavor suits your taste, and then they stock a whole bunch of replacement parts, so every time you crash it you can put it back together again, which is not a bad feature. I still prefer balsa and conventional structures more than anything else, but when it comes to the indoor flying and goofing around, foam is easy to fix and fast to experiment with and build some fun little things. And in things like the little yak there, if it crashes or it gets run into indoors or whatever, it takes a couple evenings to build a new airframe and transfer the gear over, and I'd say it's about $1 worth of foam there, so it doesn't hurt too much when you destroy it. Yeah, build up a balsa wood kit with conventional structure and cover it with tissue and have it all nice and ready to go, and you get it launched in the air and somebody's little shiny whatever it is goes zipping right on through it, it hurts. It's a lot harder to replace.
Yeah, the other nice thing about the foam and the small airplanes is not only is the foam cheap to buy and to put together, but the components that you put in there, your servos and your props and your motors and everything, even the batteries are so cheap these days that the servos that go in there, you can get them for just a couple bucks a piece sometimes for the real cheap ones, and the motors are 10, 20 bucks maybe at the most.
Yes.
Depending on what kind of motor you get, and even the receivers, for people that have the Spectrum radios, you can get the little cheap orange knockoff receivers for what, $8 to $10, $6 bucks. So, I mean, you could literally put a plane together with the foam and all the electronics and the components for, what, 20, 30, 50 bucks, something like that?
You could probably go out and buy a radio system and everything you needed and still be under $100 with something to fly, you know, for, whether it be backyard flying, indoor, whatever. You know, a number of these have been flown in my backyard now a few times, and so far, I don't know what, they haven't crashed into anything yet. It's been close. Microsoft is a little bit easier to squeeze in there, though. Cool. Questions, or how many people here don't actually truly have not, and they've never had a foam airplane of some kind? Okay, everybody admits to having had one at least. They've really permeated the entire hobby in one shape or another.
You know, there's one thing I'm surprised we haven't seen here tonight, and that's a flying wing.
I was gonna bring one, but I figured everybody saw one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as common as they are, I
And I
can't
had one in my hand.
drag one with.